Cool groupies, tradesmen, do-it-yourselfers. Today we're going to do a day in the trades videos where I'll briefly piece together a bunch of different things that I've recently been doing. The very first video I'll share, I was actually at a local dry cleaner fixing what they call a Susie press. The motor blew out on it, so I was basically reassembling the thing.
Best way to do this, set it on its side, line all your stuff up with your fan blade in here, and then you can take an extension, 1/4 inch drive, ratchet wrench, pop it in here, hold it tight, and then after everything's lined up, you can put your motor in, line this up on your motor, tighten it up, tighten all this stuff up, put it back in the machine. Take the flat part right here, we line it up with the hole up there, and we stick it in. And once all this stuff is mounted up, you can go ahead and mount this in here. Our keyway is going to be right there where this hole is. That way you can adjust your motor to the flat spot on the shaft, stick it straight down in here on the fan blade, and then go ahead and line everything up. Okay, the universal joint would not fit quite as well as I'd like, so you got to put a wrench on the outside of that one. You can take another wrench and a specialty S wrench. You can pop them on here. You got to use one to turn it a little bit of threads, and then you can put the S wrench on there and turn it a few more threads, and then eventually tighten it up that way. Now the next part's going to be taking our 7/16 or 11 millimeter. We're going to put it on a universal joint, get us a ratchet wrench, and try to go ahead and tighten that up around the motor before we actually put the keyway into the fan housing. So this is going to be a tight fit, needless to say. It might take a person a minute to adjust this. There's several different ways to adjust it. If you get the housing inside here first, you can always apply your bracket. You got to make sure the fan's in here, put your bracket on, slide your motor down in here, and then you can lay it over on its side and you can access it. You can get yourself S-style wrench, slide it right over in here and hold that 7/16 nut. Do a extension, 6-inch extension, 3/8 or 1/4 inch
yourself a 5/32 hex bit socket, slide it inside the screw, make sure it's on the flat spot, and then start tightening it up. Now we'll go ahead and install our guard here. Some models are different. This one, we're doing it this way. You stick it on the interior of this, you run some screws through the side of it, and it's nice and secure. We're ready to roll it into the machine here. So now that we got it mounted in here, we just got to slide it up there in place. 2 fasteners in, the screws on each side, and start wiring everything up. Over to the other side, make sure everything's out of the way, none of the wires are in the way. Push it in where it goes, line everything up here. Bolt holes are right where they need to be at. Now this is where I like these little broken body ratchets. You can essentially, in here, line it up to whatever it is that you're looking to get an angle on fairly easily to get everything started. Go ahead and take everything and wire it up. It's got the ground, neutral, and the hot. I'm going to plug them back in where they go. In this case, the power's off because the machine is unplugged. What they do is plug it up right here, just in case. We always have our
Now, if you've never worked on these before, I recommend making sure you take pictures of everything before you unplug any wiring. If you have worked on these before, then you probably know where the wiring is to begin with, or get yourself some PDFs, download schematics, all that sort of stuff, and you'll be able to hook it up, no problem at all. Now, as you can see, it's a very tight confined space, so I'm using a dual indexable ratchet. It indexes on the body and on the head, but I also like to use the ratcheting handle type ratchets. If you have those, they spin around in circles, they work great. Otherwise, you can use a roto ratchet. It'll do a similar thing on this type of tight confined space, or a flex head ratchet, either one. Now, a traditional flex head ratchet would be ideal for situations like this where it's really tight and confined. This particular ratchet that you're looking at is an indexing ratchet. Indexing ratchets are really horrible because you can put them in a specific position, but if you need to apply any pressure whatsoever, they do lose that angle. So I would recommend at least having some sort of ratchet with a locking mechanism right there at the base of the fork. That way you can lock it into place and apply pressure to it without any problem. Like the swivel head here might be good for this job. It's not going to really hold the screw because the arms are a little bit too wide. But if you need to line something up, get it down in there where it goes. It needs to be lifted up some, and you can use this kind of pry on it, pull it up. In this situation, it's perfect for this side over here. The motor's not in the way, and you can get to it a lot easier. As you can see right there, you move the flex back and forth, get in it at the angle that you want. And these ratchets ain't that expensive either from Pittsburgh. Get them tightened up, tighten these up. Wired up, all of our harnesses here is out of the way, nice and tightened up. Get this all lined back up and put on here. Make sure everything's nice and in line. Tighten her down here. Get our copper lines back on, nice and lined up. Get a flare nut wrench, be just as good. Regular wrench. All else, some channel locks always work, especially these little ones.
I don't ever want to really damage any of the copper or anything with teeth, so I do very light turning on it, and then I'll tighten it up with a wrench, an adjustable wrench. Or you can get yourself a flare nut wrench, where they do make a pair of Irwin vice grips with a smooth jaw, about 20 bucks. Those things work perfect too. Now this is not a name brand adjustable wrench or anything, but this cheaper one here that I've had for years has stayed tighter than the name brand ones on the jaw, which is, well, I guess it's Task Force, so that is pretty good. It's a Lowe's brand. I'm gonna go ahead and get her bottom one started up here. Now the rest of this, going to be putting her outside covers back on each side of it here, and then firing it up and see if she works. Get her filter in here. Go ahead and test this thing out. They're locked in here. Before we put the side covers on, we'll test it out. Running smooth as a whistle in it. Good deal. Now that we know it works and our job is complete putting a new blower motor in this, we will get it ready for them to start work on Monday. So it's time that we get our mess cleaned up, and we go on to the next thing that we're going to be working on. Now directly after I got done repairing that Susie there, I went over to this apartment complex, continued the remodeling job I was working on. Here's some of the stuff I've done there. Now obviously today I'm going to be doing a lot of different work. We are helping remodel this particular apartment. The first thing we're going to be doing is picking this exhaust fan here. The one to come out of this was a pain in the ass. They didn't leave room. Essentially whenever they put this ceiling together and all that stuff, the exhaust fan was already there. And then they put the drywall up and around the exhaust fan. Big beam right there. There was no room to push this thing up or to take this thing out. So we're going to be cutting that back. I mean, we're going to be fixing the drywall obviously anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and start with this light fixture right here. Breaker back on, and let's see if she works. Much brighter, much better. Now you can actually see in this place. Go off through this apartment real quick so you can see here. The carpet is dirty. Over there is where the water heater is going to go. The closet. Actually, we're going to be putting up brand new closet shelves, new bifold doors, tracks, pivot brackets, the whole 9 yards. Taking down the lights. And we're going to be removing all these cabinets, all those cabinets, countertop, adding a new sink, new countertop, new cabinets. We've already got a new stove in here, refrigerator. We're going to be taking down the old light fixtures, putting in new ones, ripping up all this old tile, ripping up all this stained carpet. If you have an apartment, you're renting an apartment, do not do carpet. Here's why. It's going to cost you twice as much to clean these things. They stink after a while. Useless. Rip them up, put in floating hardwood floor, real hardwood floor, whatever the case is. We're going to be removing all our receptacle covers. We're going to be painting the walls. We're removing the borders, adding wood borders, hardwood flooring, painting the walls, painting the ceiling. We've already got a brand new AC unit put in here. We're going to be taking the doors off, painting the doors, taking the doorknobs off, replacing those. Then we come into here. This one is a single bedroom deal. We do got some new screens we're going to have to replace, some new pieces put on the wall. This room is also a mess. There's stains on the carpet everywhere. This is awful. Looks like they had a dog in here. They might have had a dog in here. It got hungry and it ate or clawed at some of the drywall, one or the other. Probably going to be mudding that or cutting it out and just replacing it. Haven't decided yet. Then if we come over here and look, you can see where we're going to have to do a bunch of mudding up all those holes, putting in new shelving there, shelving here, new bifolds there. We're ripping up all this old tile, taking out the sink, the vanity. We done took off the medicine cabinet. You can see the wonderful drywall job. We're also going to be replacing every light fixture in this place. Got this old junky heater here we're wanting to take out of the wall because we got a brand new unit we're going to be putting in overhead right here. I already started removing the old exhaust fan. Basically going to be installing one that's got the exhaust fan, the heater, and the light all assembled into one unit. We're definitely ripping out this toilet, putting in a brand new toilet, along with possibly a new bathtub, new shower curtain. I contracted out to do a whole bunch of these apartments like this. Good earth lighting right here, little 4-footer. We got some brand new shell lights going to go over there. It's going to be all LED. We got the racetrack light right there, and here's their utility tech. Got light number 2 over the door here. See what she looks like? Ta-da! That one light right there, it's in a bad position because it shouldn't even be right there per the design of this place. When the kitchen LED is going to be right there, there's none in the living room but that shell light. So this thing by itself is going to light up a lot of the area here whenever we get this thing remodeled. And this area here will do good to light up the entire bedroom. So LED lights are definitely a big improvement, way to go compared to the old ones. Particular light fixtures can be a pain in the ass. Let's go ahead and test it out and see what it looks like. Ta-da! Big nice bright light. And it lights up the entire kitchen. Even where it sits at, that is plenty bright enough to light up everything in here. And I tell you what, for like any type of tradesman or even a do-it-yourselfer, Stanley make a good variety of tools. Just depends on really what it is that you're doing and what you want to work with. I typically paint the ceiling first, then the walls, because I ain't got to worry about the paint dropping all over the floor here. We'll pull up the carpet afterwards. That way it don't get on the brand new floor.
There's some pretty nice vents slash heaters. They got a light in the middle of it. The light's not that great, depending on what kind of bulb you put in it, I guess. But it is like a night light, so if you just need to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you got a kid's bathroom, you know what I'm saying? The exhaust fan on one side, got the heater on the other side. You got the heating element right inside here. Thermostat, it blows. This sucks.
Again, at this exact same dry cleaners, they basically sprung a leak in one of their copper heat exchangers on top of these dryers, so I went and fixed that problem.
Looking at, because somebody definitely jimmy rigged this thing. Why they didn't just put it in here right to begin with the very first time around is beyond me, because it looks like they've took the pipe off here. They've had some issues with the coils. They fixed on the coils, welded on them, destroyed them basically. I mean, they've tore stuff all to pieces here. So we're going to go ahead, because they got this fitting and this fitting, compression fittings right here, hooked into this. It's got two of them, and it's leaking like hell around both of these back here. So we're going to take it around, and we're going to put a flare nut fitting on these, because they're a little bit stronger than what this style of fitting is. It took it just a second, but got that fixed up. Got to tighten it up a little bit on that back side right here. Other than that, the coil is flipped upside down. That piece of pipe is supposed to be down here on this side, and this piece of pipe is supposed to be up there on that side. So whoever hooked this thing up hooked it up backwards to begin with, and I'd say that's pretty well what's wrong with it. But you can see there's a really tiny leak right here. That won't take much. All I got to do is put my wrenches on it, tighten it up, and we are good to go here.
I know it happened a while back, and I couldn't remember if I recorded it or not, so I'm going to pop it in here anyway. They basically had an issue with an electric motor on a machine, so here's that video.
Also on the workbench here today, we've got a fan motor, and I've also got a spare for this one we're going to be hooking up. Bearings on this one's shot. You can hear it grinding and whining. It's because they did not weld or braze the copper coil that was leaking. Now this motor over here, perfectly good motor. I have made sure, pull it off the machine, get lube the bearings up, check everything out on it. It's in great shape. The one over here is the one we were replacing. I wanted to take it apart to see what was wrong with it, make sure the bearings was not just bad, because the motor runs. So the problem that we discovered, the shaft is broke. The rest of the shaft is still attached to it right there. And, it's on the inside right here. So that's what happened to this one. A lot of torque to make this happen. So now we know what to look for, and I do got one of these in stock, so we will be able to rebuild this one as well.
Not count, but I did make a few odds and ends service calls, because I do just a little bit of everything on the side. It's that blue collar hustle. You got to stay busy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You want to make those greenbacks, baby. It's all about those dead presidents. Anyhow, got a call, went up, looked at this one person's coffee pot for him. Yes, I got a call in for a coffee pot. They said, hey, backwoods, you think you can come look at this thing, see if you can figure it out? I said, absolutely, I sure can. I went and looked at it. It's one of them bun coffee pots. This damn thing set on fire, and of course you can take it apart. You can order the parts for it. I didn't know if people knew that or not, but it is one of those things you can do. Luckily, called up the company, talked to them about what was going on here, and they basically said that they was going to send a guy an upgraded version, because these things are designed to be one of the safest on the market, and they were going to fix the problem. They wanted the coffee pot back so they can evaluate it and see what caused the problem to begin with. So that's a good thing. Got him took care of. Also had a second service call at the neighbor's house next door. Went in, helped this lady out. She's having some problems with her stove. Of course, I took everything apart, checked the burners out, checked the electronic components out on it, all that sort of stuff. Gave her a brand new plug, tested out some good new tools like this Kobalt here. You see that's coming up for review sometime soon as well, and then moved on to the next one. That's going to be it for this Day in the Trades videos. If you want to see this kind of stuff in the future, you want to follow along with what I'm doing at any given time, any given day, make sure you pop the clutch on that subscribe button, hit that little like button. It helps out the channel a lot. Follow all these social media platforms, but most importantly, keep doing that blue collar hustle.